In this video, I split 100 players into 4 different tribes and made them simulate tribal civilizations in hardcore Minecraft. Will the tribes work together to accomplish their goals, or will they wage war against the other tribes in an attempt to rule the world? Which team do you think will win? Watch till the end to find out. As the 4 teams left their spawns, the countdown before they could start their assaults on the other islands had started. The players immediately began their exploring and split up in each direction to gather as many resources as possible before the other teams. Over on the desert island, multiple structures could be seen by the players from their spawn, so they quickly split up into 2 teams to explore them and find their treasures. Our team leader Sokka led the team towards the desert temple, whilst I led the team that went west towards a western saloon as well as an abandoned house. Upon arriving at the top of the mountain, I entered the abandoned house, finding a chest containing a diamond as well as some other useful resources. This already put us ahead of the other teams who were still busy exploring the terrain of their lands. However, the other teams weren't far behind and were quickly finding structures of their own. The swamp team had formed one large group and had came across a small witch hut in the center of their swamp. This led to them finding a lot of food, which became a huge asset for them later on in the challenge.
Bread. I got some bread.
And whilst the swamp team was looting up, Sokka's team had reached the desert temple and had started its exploration. This temple happened to be rigged with explosives and traps, so the team swiftly got to break in the traps so that they could steal the loot. 2 members of the team came across rooms containing treasures and got to work clearing them out. Unfortunately for our team, one of our members stepped on one of the traps, causing the first 2 deaths of the event. This brought our team down to 23 members just minutes into the event, giving the other teams a massive advantage over us from the start. On a positive note, back at the saloon, my team was working hard to take all of the resources inside, as well as breaking the structure to gather wood. After a few minutes of breaking the building, our team decided to split off into different directions to explore the island even further. And surprisingly, shortly after I left, I came across yet another structure on the east coast of the island that bordered the swamp island. This one, however, contained a resource far more valuable than any other: food. After all, we were in the desert, so food was more rare on our island, making this an incredible find for the team. The food alone was amazing, but to top it off, there was even cobwebs which allowed us to craft fishing rods and bows to get even more food. So, as soon as I realized the potential of this place, I immediately called my team over to set up the base in this general area. The team rushed over to the east side of the island and began terraforming the coastline into our new base, and whilst they were busy setting up the base, I decided to start my mining trip. Just as I entered the strip mine, however, something incredible happened back at our new base camp. Sokka had fished up an enchantment book.
Oh, I just got a book.
I
got a Fortune 3 pickaxe. Nobody mine diamonds. Nobody mine diamonds.
Nobody
mine diamonds.
A Fortune 3 book. This was huge. The Fortune book instantly made finding diamond veins take the #1 priority on our team, so we all quickly went to the caves to start the search. Whilst the new rules were being set up for the miners, I had finally made it down into the deeper parts of the strip mine and had quickly set off on my journey for diamonds. Of course, with me being the most professional gamer of all time, it didn't take long before I struck diamonds. I immediately sent a message to Hutch to come to my location, and a few minutes later, the diamonds were mined and I set off mining again. Back on the surface of our island though, some drama had started to kick off over some bones.
Fake, L fake. Toss him to Vinkus. To your right, my guy. You're standing next to him. Turn around.
Behind
Turn
you.
Turn around.
Right
Throw the
there.
bones to that guy.
Where am I?
Throw the bones to that guy. I saw you pick them up.
Just throw the bones.
I saw you pick the bones up. Throw them out.
What do we need bones for?
Throw the bones out. Thank you.
Yeah, my team was, organized? Surprisingly though, our very organized team wasn't the worst off in terms of deaths. The jungle team had came across a giant jungle temple and had begun its exploration. However, the carelessness of the explorers caused the deaths of 2 jungle players.
Oh no!
If you're gonna go into the temple. What? Angel, how did you die?
And it didn't stop there. Lava claimed yet another jungle player who was in the mines collecting resources. This brought the jungle team down to 22 players before the attacking phase had even started. However, high risks means high rewards. One of the explorers found a storage room containing lots of riches, as well as food and other useful items. Back on Team Desert, all of the miners had been called to the surface so that the diamonds could be organized and distributed. As I crossed over the mountain range, I saw that the base camp had become more organized and we now had a farm, as well as an enchantment table. Once I arrived, I was given a full diamond set by the rest of my team, making me the 6th person on our team to have a full set of diamond armor. The only issue was I didn't have enough XP to enchant my armor, but it was nothing that a few minutes of fishing in the ocean couldn't fix. Soon after, I was geared up in full protection 1 diamond armor and ready to fight anyone that crossed my path. But surprisingly, the other teams weren't preparing to fight. As the timer was slowly ticking away, they were working on their bases. On the mountain island, a giant castle was being built on the top of the tallest mountain on the island. That team had spent a lot of time gathering cobblestone in order to make their fortress before the timer for the first phase ended. As for the swamp team's base, they had gone for something more subtle. A small camp located in the center of the swamp was the chosen location for their beacon. The jungle team, on the other hand, had made a tree base, hoping that the other teams wouldn't expect them to use their natural surroundings to hide their base. But on the desert island, there was still no base being built, with only 5 minutes to spare, so we quickly organised a team to head up to the nearest mountain and make a small base. As soon as the base was built, the beacon was instantly placed down with just seconds to spare before the attacking phase begun. And with all 4 beacons finally placed down in their chosen areas, the attacking phase began. Whilst our team was busy getting ready for any potential threats, one of our members in Iron snuck away from our island without anybody noticing. His name was Aerokun, but just as he was leaving, something unexpected happened. The swamp team had lost its first member, but surprisingly, it wasn't to an enemy team. No, they had been betrayed.
How did someone die from our team?
Wait,
left,
yeah,
he
somebody
didn't
on
die.
our team died.
Someone just died.
Yeah, I'd like to see how he died.
And just minutes later, another death occurred on the swamp team, confusing the team even further.
How are so many people dying?
Wait, we might be getting attacked.
With almost no clue as to how their members were dying, the swamp leader Wallow ordered some of his members to scout around the island looking for clues. Unfortunately for the swamp team, one of the scouts came across the desert camp and was soon spotted by our leader. Sokka wasted no time and jumped straight into action, leading a team to follow the scout back to his base, whilst the rest of the members of the desert camp were left on high alert. The desert scouts charged across the swamp island after the enemy, quickly covering a lot of the distance in the unknown area. But as they moved into the deepest parts of the swamp, they were met with an equally large envoy from the swamp team, forcing both teams into a standstill. The standstill, however, was broke after a few tense minutes when the swamp team leader requested a truce in exchange for information on the mountain team. Having no reason to deny the truce, Sokka accepted, and once the information was handed over, he led our team back towards the base. Meanwhile, the other teams were unusually quiet, with no deaths happening from any of the teams. And thinking that something was off, I headed over to the south side of the island to scout out the borders between the desert and mountain. After a thorough search with no results, I concluded that everything was fine and went back towards the camp. However, that's when everything kicked off. The jungle team was rapidly losing members, but this wasn't the cause of the other teams. No, this was the cause of one of our own. Aerokun, the man that had snuck off as soon as the second phase started, had infiltrated the jungle island and was brutally murdering all of their members. Aero was somehow able to dispose of 2 jungle members before he was forced to retreat back to the desert island. And with the information provided by Aero after his infiltration, our team decided it was time to make the risky move and attempt to absorb the jungle team. Our entire elite team, consisting of 6 players in full enchanted diamond armor, was sent to attack the jungle team with the sole mission of finding their beacon. But surprisingly, we weren't the only team on the move. The mountain team had also sent their elites to scout out the jungle island and were moving just on the other side of the mountain range. The mountain team, however, reached the jungle space before us and started the attack against the jungle team, who were caught off guard. The jungle team was soon forced back under the assault of the mountain elites and retreated back towards the temple. Thinking that they were winning, the mountain team pressed on in the hopes of weakening their enemy and potentially taking their beacon. However, they fell straight into the trap of the jungle team. A large number of jungle players charged from all directions towards the mountain team, who were now isolated from all sides. With almost no hope of retreat, the mountain elites fought on, but under the combined pressure of the entire jungle team, they quickly crumbled, leaving only one mountain elite able to escape. The jungle team decided to chase on after the enemy, crossing the seas in the hopes of finishing the last player off. But little did they know that them chasing the final mountain player was a huge mistake. Seeing that the mountain players were dropping like flies, we swiftly moved into action, sprinting across the jungle towards the enemy base. And it wasn't long before we came across our first enemies who were performing a weird ritual in a bush. Seeing that the enemies were distracted, we took the opportunity to surprise attack them. A fight quickly broke out between Aero and 2 of the jungle members, but unfortunately for the jungle team, they underestimated Aero and quickly paid the price. After disposing the jungle member who was blocking our path, we stormed the jungle temple in the hopes of absorbing the jungle team before the rest of their team returned. However, after a thorough search of the temple, we still couldn't seem to find their beacon. Time was running out as we kept on searching with the hope of somehow finding their beacon, but luck just wasn't on our side. We were too late. The jungle players had returned. A huge fight immediately broke out between the 2 teams as soon as we exited the temple. Our members swiftly split up into smaller teams so they could hunt the weaker members of the jungle team. And with Aero distracting 3 of the players, the rest of our team were able to take care of most of the members of the jungle team. However, there was one team that just wasn't going to let this perfect opportunity pass. The Swamp Team. After seeing the deaths of all of the other teams in the chat, the Swamp Team who had remained passive finally decided to make their move and launch an attack. And unfortunately for us, their target was the Desert Team. Due to the absence of the Elite Team, the remaining members of the team were quite unorganized and didn't notice the incoming threat until it was too late. With their first line of defense falling almost immediately, the rest of the desert members had no other choice but to retreat, and for those who weren't fast enough, there was only one ending. But luckily for us, the majority of the team had escaped and were now on top of the mountain protecting the beacon. The only issue was, the team had retreated up the wrong mountain. This left our beacon with only a single player protecting it, but it just wasn't enough. The last line of defense was quickly broken, leaving our beacon open to our former allies, and with zero hesitation, our beacon was broken and our team officially absorbed by the Swamp Team. It didn't take long for us to accept the fact that we were now a part of the Swamp Team, and we quickly got back to searching for Swamp's beacon, unaware that it was currently high above us in the tree line. And just as we were about to leave the jungle island, another group of jungle players attempted to ambush us on the way out. However, our group's teamwork and gear was unmatched, so we were able to dispose of them fairly easily. And just as we killed one of the jungle team's last members, we received orders to head to the mountain island from our new team leader. Both the original Swamp Team and the new members gathered at the border of the mountain island where a meeting was hosted by our new team leader.
Hello, Soccer.
Hi.
This is our first time actually meeting since I've overtaken you. The plan is we need to try and take out Mountain.
Alright, let's go! Let's go, lads!
I think brute strength is the best way to go. Charge! Our entire team sprinted through the mountains, swiftly making our way towards the mountain team's base. And it wasn't long before we made it there.
We're gonna do this for the swamp. Let's go kill him.
Arrow, get out of there!
Our team stormed up the left side of the mountain, scaling the walls of the mountain team's base. And whilst we were distracting the mountain team, Aero took the chance to infiltrate the base from the other side and get the drop on a few of their members. Due to the sheer amount of people on our team, the mountain team had almost zero chance to defend and were quickly evicted from their own home.
Alright,
We've lost
anyway,
no members, they've lost
I'm
7.
gonna find their beacon one way or another, move back.
Oh, Soccer, watch out, you're gonna blow yourself up.
Oh my god.
Luckily, Soccer's death wasn't completely pointless, because in the explosion from the TNT, the mountain team's beacon was broken, making our total player count up to 41. And following the fall of the mountain team, Wallow led the team back to the swamp base to allow our team to regroup and storm the jungle base. However, there was one person who didn't feel the need to wait. Arrowhead immediately went towards the jungle base after the fall of the mountain team, and had restarted the search for their beacon. And after only a few minutes, he was successful in spotting Jungle's base high above in the treetops. After a quick water bucket clutch, he entered the tree base, making short work of the final jungle member who was left to defend it. And with that, Jungle's beacon was broken, making Team Swamp the last team standing and the winners of this event. Congratulations to Swamp Team for winning this event. If you think that you could have done better, come give it a try by joining the Discord link in the description, where you will gain access to any future events that we may hold. And if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.